All right. Appreciate everybody coming in. Sorry for that hiccup. We're gonna, I guess, get here going in just a minute. Uh, Matt, of course, used to cover the Wizards when he was here. He's a noted NBA fan. He's going through a little bit of mourning right now because he's also a Denver Nuggets guy, and that didn't exactly go well for them. But we won't talk about that
Yeah. Thank
unless
you.
you need, yeah, unless you need to vent. We're here. Um, no, we're here for the for the big day, for the big moments, and to see. We're gonna stay positive, right? There's no way. Like it's not like the lottery guys have always hosed this team. It just feels like it. And after all this tanking, after all the terribleness, after 83 points by Bam, is it all worth it, Matt? What do you think? Is it all going to be worth it?
Well, I mean, there's a good chance they probably fall to five. I think the lucky thing about this draft class is that there's at least four players, and then the fifth one could be pretty good as well. Now, if that fifth one is the guard who can't play any defense, then that doesn't really necessarily fit the Wizards. Acuff is that his last name, right?
Yeah. Well, you're saying because they already have a guard that doesn't play any defense.
Yeah, so Trey Young 2.0. But I mean, I think it's an interesting draft for the Wizards. I think they're pretty close. Like I actually really like what they did at the deadline, getting Trey Young, getting Anthony Davis, because if you hit on this pick, then you can really start to kind of compete at a faster timeline without jeopardizing um, being in that middle where they always were. I think like you actually have a young foundation that can grow, but for that to happen, you have to hit on, one of these picks. Because their core right now is promising, but I don't think it's anything past, wow, these guys could be really like, I don't think it's like in that special territory yet. But if you throw DeBanson into the mix or someone, then you're really starting to cook.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have we all can sit here and say we would prefer player X, Y, or Z. I'm firmly in the Debanza camp at this point, but you know, in theory, who the hell knows? The real key is just can they get as lucky as possible for once in a year in which everybody seems to suggest there's a lot of top guys at the top. So why not get the first guy, have as many options as he possibly can? Plus, I think that like if it's just in terms of where they are with the team, I think Devonta would be the best fit. I mean, I Anthony Davis is here. I have no idea what's going to happen with that. If you tell me he plays 0 games, doesn't get traded until the deadline, doesn't get traded until 2027 or the 27-28 season, sure. But I think you know, come on, let's just get the pick for goodness sake. One
Right.
time. I mean, I know they just had the number 2 pick a couple years ago, and no disrespect to Alex Sarr, who had a much, much, much better year this year than he did as a rookie. But it doesn't appear that at the moment they have that guy. They don't have the one guy that, like if you're going to say that this is a draft with franchise altering players, then that needs to be uh, the case. And Peterson, that was just weird how that whole season played out.
Right.
Um,
Right.
no, go ahead.
Oh no, I just think that like in the right situation, he might be like, you know, if OKC somehow lands in the top four, and like that's a situation I think they could really nurse him along. It'd be the right environment. Like I mean, every prospect needs the right environment, but he especially seems like the type of person that needs the right training camp, needs the right like situation for him to be happy, to thrive, um, to have the right creatine regimen, and not.
Great.
Well, that's what he said. That's why he pulled himself out of the games, is because
Oh, is that what he was
he
saying?
was, yeah, he had muscle spasms basically from taking creatine. So
Yeah. It's funny how the issue is not taking creatine; it's the right creatine. Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco are like, "Are you serious? What? 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 What are we talking about here?" Um,
it's a different era. Right,
different,
Andre.
different era. Do I see they're talking right now to Cam Boozer? I don't see Carlos. Is he? Oh, there he is.
Oh, you're ahead of me. This is gonna be interesting because they are just on my screen. I'm watching on YouTube TV, so there's always, like, that 30-second delay or whatever.
Oh my god. So wait, who are they talking to on your screen?
They just showed Carlos Boozer as they're talking to Cam Boozer, so I think I'm on about a 30-second delay.
30 seconds. Good lord. All right, well, we have to decide. You may just have to play catch up here because I got a bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh, um, for those of you who were just coming in or didn't hear before, I was saying to Matt when we started that I was like, I don't wear gear of the local teams because that's just that's just not how I'm going to roll in the job I have. But I was like, how do I find a shirt that like connects the NBA draft lottery and the Wizards, and if we're going to talk about Commanders rookie camp, and then I came up with that I found it in my drawer is 1991 NBA Finals, an all-time great Wizard and Michael Jordan, and the Commanders co-owner and Magic Johnson. Obviously, this is why this shirt was invented for this exact moment in time. How's it going? What I see? You already had no Jordan Tyson at Saints rookie camp.
He was on a maintenance plan his second
Huh.
day,
Oh boy,
because he was coming back from the hamstring injury, so they decided to hold him out.
do they have a Curtis Samuel side field over there?
Not really. They have an indoor practice facility and they go outside, but you don't really ever see the injured guys off to the side the way you would with Sidefield Samuel. So
Yeah, because as you're saying that, I'm like, oh man, that sounds very very familiar. All right, I put out on Twitter earlier. I said, what are you realistically willing to commit to for if it ensures that the Wizards get this pick? Somebody said they would get season tickets. Somebody said they would join my Substack. I'm going to hold them to it. Um, somebody said no Chipotle for 6 months. Uh, I delete all social media for 6 months and then attend at least 10 games next season. Kill myself in a positive sacrifice kind of way. Okay, don't go that far. Tell my wife I'm ready to be a dad. Wow. Okay. That is some
well, if you really want to do it, you should name your kid after the player they take. If it's you can name him AJ or Darren or something.
yeah, these names are reasonable, right?
Right.
Oh, is that what's her face? Is that the it is. It's we got the Mallory Edens is back.
Oh, right. Oh, easy there.
Oh, she's old she's a lot older now. Tony Kukoc is in the house wearing sunglasses.
Oh, now yeah, okay. So
Oh, Rolando Blackman, legendary two guard from back in the day.
I've pulled up on Tankathon the order of the teams. I'm sure you know, but in case someone jumps, we'll be able to.
No, yeah, no. I have the same order. I mean, I haven't committed everything to memory, but yeah,
I haven't
feel free.
actually spent the lottery today. Should I do that right now just to see?
Do what? Spin it?
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah. Look, go ahead. I did it earlier. I did it twice. The first time I did it, they had the second pick. The second time they did it, they got the first pick.
The only one I did was Atlanta for Milwaukee's pick, Dallas, Sacramento, Indiana, and then Washington fell to 5.
The Pacers sent TJ McConnell, the Wizards sent John Wall.
I have a lot
I
of
mean, what?
thoughts on the John Wall embrace.
Oh, it's so hilarious. You couldn't even they literally were told do not talk about him on the air in his first game back, and
Yeah,
now he's doing this.
it's shameless. Somewhere that sit down interview with John Wall can re-air.
All right, here we go. Mark Tatum's out at the podium.
All right.
OKC is picking 12. They did not. At least I can't keep track of how many picks they have, but they didn't jump up with that one.
Yeah, they didn't jump.
Oh, the Warriors. So much for that
Oh,
conspiracy theory.
okay. So back
You,
11.
you'll be jealous. My guy Mike Smeltz sent in an email to Simmons about the Warriors getting the pick, and Simmons talked about it
Yeah.
on the show. The the Bulls jumped up.
Oh, they did. Wait. Yeah, because the Bulls are supposed to be 9. Oh.
Memphis jumped up.
Hmm. Well, that's not good for Washington. If 2 teams from the bottom jumped.
The Utah jumped up now too. Wait,
Wait.
yeah, yeah, Utah jumped up.
Yeah, because well, Utah was 4 though. Oh, okay, yeah, you're right, sorry.
So the Wizards are in the top four.
Uh, damn, that's tough for Indiana. They gave up Zubac they got Zubac for the 5th pick, but oh, well, that's a great top 4 in terms of just, like, if you think about the competitive balance of the league, what teams kind of really need a jump.
So the Pacers ended up trading away their first round pick for
Yeah, for
Zubac. What an attempted needle to thread in the NBA. With the conspiracy theorists, tough day today. I
Zubac.
often like to be one of them. Pacers didn't get it. The Warriors didn't move up.
Well, the funniest thing would now be if Adam Silver had the courage to, strip the Clippers of that pick for the Kawhi thing.
Oh God, does Pablo get another Pulitzer if they do?
I guess so. But damn, that sucks for the Pacers, man. But better them than Washington.
Yes. Oh. Um.
And
All
locally
right.
down here, the Pelicans, they acquired Derek Queen for what pick was that? Not 7. No, wait. Tankathon didn't update with the order.
Uh, Maybe because I just wasn't paying as much attention, but I didn't see nearly as many Derek Queen highlights or headlines. The second half of the year was the
Yeah, he was more him and Zion couldn't really play together because of the defense.
yeah,
Zion
no, that's
actually had, like, a pretty good bounce back season. He played a lot of games,
yeah.
and so, you know, you gotta earn your role, and he definitely cooled off.
Well, what a wacky trade that not only was it for all the reasons everybody talks about the lack of they didn't protect the pick, nothing, it wasn't top five protected or anything, but then the guy they take doesn't really can't really play with the guy you're hoping is your best player. That's a tough one.
Right.
All right. More importantly here, so if they get the number one pick, I'm all in on DeBont. So the real question for me what happens at 2. I'm kind of in on the Wilson kid from Carolina. He's not normally my cup of tea in the sense that it's like a lot of athletic upside versus like proving something. But I just the Peterson thing was tough, and I'm just not. I feel like I'm one of the few that just didn't drink the boozer Kool-Aid to the degree that everybody else seems to.
Yeah, I mean, I really like, uh, Boozer. I think he's a pretty good passer. He's smooth. I do have some questions of, is that gonna translate? We've seen Jahlil Okafor and stuff, but I don't know. I think he can be a pretty good pro. He might not have, like, the highest star potential, but I think he'll be pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree with all that. That's like sort of my thing. I don't think he's like the franchise altering player. He might be good, and as a fit with Sar putting aside Davis, it's not bad because he's got the sort of the bigger body. Sar's got more of that athleticism, all that. I just don't know that I see him being transformational, which is what we've been hyped for this draft to be, right? I mean, and who knows if any of them, but like DeBonce, at least when I was watching this year, I was like, damn, okay, that guy's getting 30 a night. It felt like all the time.
I think for the Wizards, though, if you do end up with Boozer, like you do need like a low level post scorer somewhere around there, like efficient around the basket, because
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, who knows if he's going to be there? He'd probably be pretty good with Trey Young in a pick and roll. Like, there
Yeah.
are ways that you could use him. I don't think it'd be a terrible pick and roll.
Yeah, I saw John Hollander the other day. I guess he has Boozers as number one, and he was kind of saying he thinks people are overthinking it. He's like, all Boozer did last year was look like Nikola Jokic for Duke with his passing, and I was like, okay, calm down. I mean, just because you're a good passing big man, it's not Jokic. Come on,
Uh,
it's like saying I can run fast on the Flash.
he cannot run fast.
All right, here we go. Get your rabbit's feet out, people. Bulls are Bulls at 4. Ho ho ho! The Wizards, all the tanking paid off. Let's go. If I gotta
Wow.
watch this stuff, and so do you, let's get it. AJ DeBonsa.
All right.
I mean, who knows if they think the same thing, but woo-hoo-hoo,
Yeah, that's crazy. Brian
ama-
Keith, the rare smile.
amazing, amazing.
That's
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Joe House is doing the pod with Bill Simmons today because Zach Lowe is in the room. So uh to have a Wizards fan on the call would be pretty fun. Or on the pod.
yeah, that's it's a great selection. I mean, that's everything you wanted for pick and like and they're set up to I mean, depending on how good this kid is right away, I mean, playoffs? Question mark.
Well, I mean,
Pease Anthony Davis, roll my
I,
eyes.
I mean, so yeah. So my understanding, I've talked about this, is and others have, I guess, reported to some degree. Like the Wizards are. This was the last year for them for the tanking, which is to the point of Wizards never get any luck. The fact that all this talk of fixing the lottery and whatever is happening after they get the number one pick. Did he just say Brad Stevens?
Don't know. I some oaf he's talking over.
All right.
Wow, yeah, that's
All right, so they're talking. I'm gonna pause it on my TV with them talking. Well, actually, I won't pause it. I'll just mute it and see what they come back later. I heard Jay Billis say, I guess it's not a foregone conclusion who they would take. Again, if they think Darren Peterson or Boozer or Wilson is the guy, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's just moronic. Just in terms of the play, the roster, they are mostly uh heavily weighted towards the wings and the backcourt. Um, in terms of, I'm not counting Anthony Davis in my thoughts here because who knows what that's going to be, right? But you got Trey Young. I guess I have to factor in a little bit because it does feel like he's going to stay. But you've got Keyshawn George is sort of the point forward. You've got Trey Johnson as more the classic two guard. Uh, Koulibaly is a wing. Uh, I'm obviously Alex Sarr, but he's really the only like front court dude they have. So Bonsa would be just a great fit for with Sarr. I mean, like neither one of them is obviously like a real like power big, but in terms of just needing more front court dudes, and the fact that Bonsa looks like he could be like a legit top scorer, whereas I'm not saying Sarr can't be, but probably not. Um, wow, this is quite the day. You gonna move back here just for this now?
Yeah, maybe, I don't think so, but I will definitely if they come down to New Orleans, I saw Pelicans Wizards on, Valentine's Day a few years ago, so I guess, if it happens around a similar time, I'll be there.
I know I didn't even mention Will Riley. I don't know how much you saw of him late in the year.
Oh,
Did you
yeah,
see
he's
him
good.
much?
Yeah, he's good. He's a very good 2K player.
Is he?
So, using him in 2K.
I
He's really
mean, like of the 6 first round picks they've had up till this point, I'm not saying that any of them are necessarily going to be all stars, but all of them look legit. We know from not legit here in these parts. Um, and so at a minimum, like whether it's to build around or trade chips or whatever, they've got things to work with now. This plus, again, I think too many people are looking at the Anthony Davis thing as like they got him to make a move, and I know that's what they're saying, but I think Trey Young and Anthony Davis are here to help the young guys go to the next level. But the fact that you've now just got DeBonsa,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we'll see. But like, or I shouldn't say DeBonsa. I mean, it could be any of these guys. But now, does that appease Anthony Davis? I mean, probably not. But at the same time, it's still, pretty good that uh, to have. Also, I think for the NBA overall, at least he's going to the East. Like the number one pick is going to the East. I mean, the Bulls got 4.
Yeah,
So okay, so 1 and 4 East, 2 and 3. By the way, I think that's the first time ever, right, that Utah's ever moved up in a draft.
something like that. They haven't ever picked one, I know that. Alright.
Yeah, I think it's the first time they've ever moved up. I wondered, like, if we were going to play the game of conspiracy theories, would the league give them the one pick in a year when a guy who played at BYU this last year is coming out? Not that he's a Utah guy per se; he's from Massachusetts, right? But like that's as close as you're going to get unless Keith Van Horn comes back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they also have, like, a ton of trade assets. Do they try and move up 2-1 and the Wizards trade back? But I don't we've
Oh
seen Danny Ainge
boy!
do that
Oh my God! You know what?
back. I
The fact that you just said Danny Ainge is involved, just hang up the phone. I don't even want to know about it. Forget it. It's awful. All right, so um, boy, as I said, a lot of people here committed to doing things now. Uh, on behalf of the Wizards getting a pick or getting this pick.
You know what I also saw on Twitter? Shout out, Christian Clark, who covers the Mavs. He used to work for us down here in New Orleans. You trade for Anthony Davis, you land the number 1 pick, apparently, because the Mavericks did last year, number 1, the Wizards did this year, so maybe a team, who wants to acquire the number 1 pick next year just needs to give the Wizards the farm for Anthony
That
Davis.
that that's a pretty good thought right there. Like I said, to me, the only question I really have, like for me, I'm definitely taking DeBonta over Boozer. I understand, like you said, as a pure like combination Boozer and Sar, the Boozer's body type might be a little bit better. I just again, but if the goal is like who's the guy with the biggest ceiling, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm not claiming I watch every Duke game. The tournament was probably the bulk of what I watched, and I'm not even factoring in how they lost to Connecticut and all that. But the I just didn't see a guy that was that much of a difference maker. Again, if they had picked third and taken him, okay. Peterson's the wild card for me because of just how in uneven his season was. I mean, how do you know exactly what he was when everybody seemed to suggest he was clearly the best guy, but then you know all the absences, all those kinds of things. Um, and look, they can trade Johnson, obviously, right? If they felt like, hey, we can get Peterson, let's trade Johnson for what something. I don't, maybe it's for Derek Queen.
Huh. Yeah, I doubt New Orleans would give up on
Look, I
Queen.
mean, Trey Johnson was the sixth pick last year. It's not like
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I don't think you necessarily even have to. I mean, he could be like your supersized sixth man or
no, for sure. It's just sort of like if you're going to maximize these positions, and like if they think that Peterson or Johnson can sort of handle the ball enough to run the offense. I didn't see that with Johnson. Again, with Peterson, even beyond the absences at Kansas, he's not being asked to quote unquote run the offense. He's being asked to
right.
get buckets. Um,
And that is something that he can do. I mean, Koulibaly would be the other one. Like, maybe he's the odd
yeah,
man.
he. It's
You
funny
wouldn't-
how like he was the first guy they took in this whole run, and now he may be the one that's like easiest to move. I mean, he's gonna he's coming up to be extension eligible like for real now, and I mean he's had moments, but it's just not been like enough per se
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
to make it work. You know what? I mean, Matt has heard me rail against the Wizards organization for years as much as anybody. And when did you move?
2023. But I
So
was there.
right as this whole thing was starting to uh, turn over.
Yeah, I covered wingers and Dawkins, opening presser, and then I did. I think right before this basketball season started, I went to their whole. It was the press conference. They didn't want to say the word rebuild. I
Mhm.
was, what was up with that?
Right. Well, that's something in this town Dan Quinn didn't want to either. Um, but what I was going to say is just that, like for years, it was like, look, you gave it a good run, but when John Wall gets hurt and breaks, you know, every bone in his knees and ankles and legs and Achilles, like, and then Bradley Beal. I'm not going to go revisionist history and say Bradley Beal was bad or anything like that, but obviously he was not, even at his best, wasn't worth the money per se, and that they kept constantly just trying to make, as I say all the time, try to be the eighth seed. After years of bitching, Ted Leone says, "Just stop. It's okay. Commit to the bit, and if you do the work right, people will care." And also, people like me rooting for young kids. I mean, I get that ticket buyers are not necessarily into all the losing, but like there's somewhere to go. And now here you are coming out on the other side of this thing with again six recent first round picks, all look legit to some degree, and now the number one pick. And through all your machinations, you end up with Trey Young and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, boy, Trey Young and Anthony Davis are the greatest things since sliced bread. But just as an asset, that's way better than where they were even a year ago.
Well, I appreciate it too because you see teams kind of do this like multi-year tanking thing, but then when it's time to like hit the gas pedal, it's very, all right, let's see if the young kids can thrive. We'll sign a couple veterans. Like it was smart to do that work ahead of time so that you're really like ready to go next season. There's really no like, I mean, there is going to be an adjustment process, but it's not as, it doesn't feel as like incremental as maybe like with Denver, for instance, when they like, they drafted Jokic, they brought in Murray, like they transitioned out of the Gallinari era, but like their big move was to sign Paul Millsap that summer. And then Paul Millsap was, okay, here we go. Maybe they can make the playoffs. And so now you kind of have those veterans in place and they're high quality veterans. I still am very skeptical of whether Anthony Davis is, everything that he said. Maybe it's just like posturing for a contract extension, but I don't know. He doesn't seem very long there, just based on kind of the reports trickling out. That's just complete speculation on my part, but I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I
Um,
would just say my view, I would ignore all the reports because similar to how we're dealing now with the Commanders, this front office does not leak. Like no, like did anybody on the planet have any clue that Anthony Davis was getting traded here? I mean, the Trey Young thing was sort of telegraphed a little bit, but like not the Anthony Davis. And it's one thing to say, "Hey, don't tell anybody we want to trade Doncic for Davis." It's another thing to be like, "Hey, I'm sure the Wizards weren't going like," and so they're pretty stealthy. And I just like whether Anthony Davis stays or not, it doesn't even matter to me in the sense that like they got him, it was an asset. Like if you look, in fact, let me look this up right now, really quick here. Like if you have you, I don't know for your Nuggets purposes, if you've looked at the free agents um this year in the NBA. I mean, obviously, I know I'm sure the Nuggets are pretty cap strapped and things like that, but
Minimum guys for on their end. I mean, I've been looking. I've been more in the trade machine to try and justify not trading Jamal Murray, which I'm getting there because I don't want them to deal him. But
um well, but so I've talked about this before. That like NBA free agency is always kind of weird because you never quite know who's ultimately going to be available with opt outs or just does somebody resign or whatever. But basically, in terms of like the unrestricted free agents, the best guys out there this year are like LeBron and Durant. And the reality is, if Trey Young and Anthony Davis were free agents, they would probably be top five on the list of free agents. Which again, I'm not saying is like all that, but like that, it is like saying, hey, by the way, the Wizards not only did they just get the number one pick, they just added two of the top five free agents from this year. Uh, Again, ignoring whatever contracts might be coming or extensions or whatever, because that could change the value of a lot of this. But in terms of that, like they just did that, and they've got these kids. I mean, I think without seeing 100 things that have happened and knowing that hashtag so Wizards is still a thing. I mean, I think they make. I think they're if Anthony Davis is playing, I think they're a top eight seed next year. Again, is Anthony Davis playing 30 games or 80? Or well, maybe 80 is too overstating it. 30 or 65? Um, you know, that's a huge deal. But yeah, I mean, I think this is bad. For where they were just even a year or two ago, they have set themselves up as well as humanly possible.
yeah, definitely. I mean, they have flexibility. Even like the players that they could pick with number one are all very intriguing. Like this is the reason you saw such egregious taking or tanking like down the stretch of the season is because like these prospects were so highly regarded. So I mean, but it definitely worked out for him. I mean, this is what they were shooting for, and they got it.
Yeah. Um, I was just trying to pull up a list of the top free agents, and I clicked on something. It was a Bleacher Report, and it wants me to do a slideshow. No.
Shout out 2008, bringing back old media.
Shout out when I was at NBC Sports Washington, and they would have me do a mock draft every week because they turned it into a slideshow, and people would always like yell. I'm like, I, what do you want from me here? I got, it served its purpose for their sake. All right, hold on. Let's see. Is this the thing here? All right, here we go. All right. So this list has again. So it has Jalen Duren, but he's restricted. It has Austin Reeves player option, Trey Young player option, James Harden player option, LeBron unrestricted, Norman Powell unrestricted, Peyton Watson is restricted. He's seventh. Jeez. So my point is just again that if Anthony Davis was available, he would be top 4 or 5.
Sure.
So,
But I mean, you're also gonna have Giannis on the trade market.
oh
You know,
yeah, yeah.
I think. I mean, maybe Kevin Durant is. You can throw him in there. Um, Depending on what happens with the Denver guys, like this is
Well,
actually a trade market this summer for a change.
and that's kind of also my point. Like I was really hoping the Knicks or the Cavs would be the teams that flamed out in round one, because if that happened, they would both be panicked big time, and I could see them going, "All right, we got to blow this thing up." Anthony Davis, what's going on with this? Just as an option, and again, I think if did anybody in the first round who lost? Is that I mean,
I mean,
Boston's kind of a
Denver,
unique, Denver.
well, I
Well,
mean,
I mean, what do the Nugget?
Gordon right
What do
now.
the Nuggets even have?
No, nothing. They don't have picks. I mean, you would just be taking a upside on Aaron Gordon or whatever, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense for Denver either. Because why would you trade oft
Right,
injured
Anthony did. Right,
Gordon for oft injured unless you wanted a better rim protector? But
yeah.
even then, that seems way too risky.
That would be actually a lot. If you tell me Anthony Davis is playing, having him with Jokic, that would be
Ugh,
pretty
uh,
fun. All right, my guy
that's all
Brad Johnson.
is Anthony Davis getting toasted by Jamal Murray. So that's how I maybe feel about that.
Nice. My guy Brian Johnson says here, Debonsa feel like the right call here on its face. We'll see how it plays out. Could actually be fun basketball too. Like I might actually watch night in and night out. Also, just note Boozer, no shade, fine player, but boring. I kind of agree with all of that. Again, if we're just talking about, I think, what's the highest point they can reach? I just don't think that. To me, he doesn't seem like that guy. But all right, that's the beauty of this whole thing, Matt. They got options.
Yeah.
What a world!
Yeah, no, it's and like, I still think even though the Wizards have pivoted from like outright tanking to the next step, they're still not in a position where like, oh my god, we really need a center. We have to, draft. They really have, you choose the best player, you figure it out, and then even in free agency, I mean, yeah, they probably need another center, but that seems maybe lower down the list.
Um, yeah. So the Wizards got the number one pick next year. The NFL draft is coming here.
So
If the Commanders have the number one pick, that will not have gone well for the organization, and probably not my Substack. So let's not root for that. Uh, but they don't. The
hey,
reason to get number one pick,
follow up
they
with
already
that
got there.
guy.
What's that?
Make sure to follow up with that guy who said he'd subscribe to your Substack.
Oh, lot of people here are on the hook. Um,
Kelly Oubre just bricked the worst three I've ever seen in my life.
I saw some people somebody had a tweet the other day. It was something like, if you put Kelly Oubre's brain in a shark, the shark would drown.
I sent you that, yes.
Oh, was that you? Oh, sorry. Uh,
That's not the listeners didn't know that, so
no, I know it's fine. I mean, it's just so funny. I mean, I would like Kelly Oubre the guy, but his basketball IQ never the highest.
that's
Um, I said it's too bad nobody committed to doing their hair the way Oubre has it, with the half, like the
yeah.
half regular, half like reddish.
There was this, boxer one time, it was in Chicago, it was at a card that I was at. His face, the one side of his face was, like, beard and, like, longer hair, and then the other half of his face was clean shaven and short, so depending on what side of the ring you were on, you were seeing him in, like, 2 different angles, so it was very weird.
That's funny you said that. The other day, I had not shaved at all for a while, um, and I found the other day, I was like, all right, let's do something here. So I just, I did half of my face, and then I like, oh, once I left the other half. I mean, for a little bit, just to have that sort of silliness. Um, all right, what do we got here? All right, so very exciting stuff. Mark Mark says John Wall with his greatest assist. I mean,
Clever.
yeah, I mean it's a good one there, Mark. Very exciting. All right, I don't want to hold Matt up. It's a Sunday afternoon here. I'm sure he's got things to do. You guys have any other questions? As I said, Matt, of course, does cover the Saints, and they were picking right after Washington. But just since I have you here, did you have for all the talk about the Chiefs trading up to get Mansour Delane and their rationale was it for
I
like
mean,
their assessment that the Saints were the team that maybe would take him, and I certainly thought Washington could. Did you have any sense that was even a thing for the Saints?
yeah, I mean, I think they really like Mansour Delane. I don't know if they liked him more than Jordan Tyson, but I think he was like if Jordan Tyson. There was a video of Andrew Berry, the Browns GM. If they had picked at 6, he mentioned uh, picking Jordan Tyson. So if Jordan Tyson was gone, the Commanders still picked Sonny Styles, then I think they would have taken Mansour Delane at 8. So I definitely get this. Like, it definitely makes sense why the Chiefs traded up, but that also would have depended on the Browns picking a receiver too.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, I mean, I think the Commanders are pretty thrilled to get Styles, to get younger, faster, to have a guy that athletic defensively for a group that was obviously pretty terrible the last couple of years. It's a pretty good thing. I'd never really bought them taking a receiver. I definitely didn't buy them taking Jordan Tyson just because they had so many injuries last year. To then take a guy who's already hurt, I would have been like, oh man, that would be a lot. But people are happy with Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and just like the Saints draft kind of just went all in on the offense, trying to boost that unit a lot, to chuck some weapons. And, uh, I mean, yeah, I was kind of iffy on the Tyson pick. I've talked myself into it, just being as how these things go in the sense that that guy is so elusive. Like, even him running routes, his first day, you see some, like, he's just so smooth running. And they could definitely use that because, they have Chris Olave, who's very good, but it was pretty bare besides that, so they definitely
I
needed
mean,
that and the
it's funny. This is the thing. Like when we do all the mock drafts, at the end of the day, the thing that will have a player rise or have a player fall are almost entirely unknown to the public. And so in the case of Jordan Tyson, everybody kept saying he's the best receiver on talent, but he missed 40% of his games in college with injuries. On the outside, what can we say? But the teams, clearly it wasn't just the Saints that were showing interest. So clearly enough teams were like, all right, I guess we're going to buy that it's just somewhat fluky and this is not the norm. Obviously, that's the huge risk because from the talent perspective, makes total sense.
yeah, I mean, Tyson said on his call with us that he thought his range was from 5 to 11, and anything else would have been, like, a huge surprise. And I think even you could, if to bring it back to the Commanders, you could say that with Styles, right? Like, maybe he was talking out of, his ass, but, like, that there was that clip of him in the morning saying, "I think it's gonna be the Commanders." Like, these guys actually have a sense of their range, and so, I think that's a credit to, 1, their agents, but also the teams, showing, like, what teams are actually showing legitimate interest and which ones aren't, and these guys can get a feel for their markets.
Um, 100%. Um, yeah, no, Styles made too much sense. Was when you said that Styles said he predicted that he'd go to Washington. Did he do that while driving to the facility?
Yeah, that's what I thought of. I just wanna see the outtakes of that
Oh,
those videos. Ah,
I
Darnell Wright, that would've been a really great. He was the guy we were waiting for, that's
right. I also want to see where they say, okay, now do Christian Gonzalez. Nah,
yeah.
screw that guy.
Right.
All right,
That
we just. By the way, like watching rookie camp the other day, so Sonny Styles picked number 52, a,
I
com-
I saw that and I was like, "Oof," but
a completely reasonable number to take. But when you're talking about a guy who's like a highly athletic at linebacker wearing 52, it's like,
mm.
boy. Somebody joked to me it's good that Jamin gave them permission to uh to give it to him.
He still
Um,
drive his car 114 miles an hour to get it.
oh boy. Wow. What a day. What a day, Matthew Paris, the Washington Wizards on top of the NBA world.
Ah, there you go. At long last, not since John Wall have they got the number one pick.
Wait, so just really quickly here, if you need to go, tell me. But like, so let's just say Devonta goes one, the Jazz at two. I mean, I'm not.
I would say Peterson probably. They have Markkinen. They have. I mean, they picked Ace Bailey last year, so you have your high volume scorer there. But they traded for Jaren Jackson. They have Walker Kessler. Peterson makes a lot of sense there in terms of like just what they don't have, and I think his scoring could take them to another level.
So the Grizz, I mean, they traded Jaren Jackson, right? They still have Ja. They're clearly starting over. If I'm, I guess you could look at it in two ways. Again, I don't know that Boozer has the upside, but he's a pretty solid fundamental piece. On the other hand, the AJ Wilson to me, like his ceiling just seems very significant.
Yeah.
So, uh, I mean, I guess they just can't trade Ja, right? There's just who
I mean,
would.
they could like. I mean, I don't know what the market would be, but they seem to be like just do whatever and figure it out. Like, I mean, it seems like they've placed like a lot of like a chips in Zach Edey, and yet he's always kind of hurt. So that's kind of tough for them. Um, they played pretty hard down the stretch of last season, even when they were tanking. But it seems like a of these teams. Like what's interesting about the top four is like you have the Wizards and the Jazz ready to take off. The Bulls and the Grizzlies are like kind of at the beginning stages of tearing things down and getting pieces for like a rebuild, but it's like a nice mix of, and then you have the Clippers at 5 who, you know, with the right pick in theory could really start to get going. And I forget who is 6th, but it's like a good mix of bad teams, good teams, and it'll be interesting to see how the model, like how the changes next year affect all this and whether, teams are going to tank less or whatever.
The Pacers, again, if you broaden it out to not, because obviously the Pacers are a team that had just been in the final. And okay, let's just assume that Halliburton's back to usual. They have Zubac now, but they don't get a top four pick.
Right.
Uh, I, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, that trade, I totally understood the trade, but at the same time, it felt
Yeah.
kind of risky for this obvious reason.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but also if your top four is Tabanza, Peterson, Wilson, and Boozer in some order, then your fifth player is Acuff and
I mean, there's him,
oh,
there's Fleming, there's Nate Ament.
yeah, right. It just seems like that next tier, like, is what is the best their career is going to be, and
Again, I did not want. I Yeah, I didn't watch some college basketball, but I mean, depending who you listen to, it's either like a 4-player draft or it's like a 9-player draft, depending on
right,
how you want to view it. So to give up that is a lot. By the way, this Knicks game's already over. Jeez.
oh, right,
Um. All right. Look, Matt, you've said it all. Go read Matt's stuff at the New Orleans Times-Picayune. For those of you who wanted Jordan Tyson, you can follow Matt and see what could have happened. If you did want him, I don't have to tell you, but they got the guy that made the most sense for them. But still need receiver, so I understand that point. So go read Matt's stuff there. And if you want to listen to a tortured Nuggets fan, um, he's also a good time on that front. All right, man. Well, look, we're gonna have to do this again. If the Wizards find themselves in this position, hopefully it's at this point, probably not be for a long time. Um, but if they do, we're gonna have Matt back. I gotta wear my Magic Jordan T-shirt, and I gotta have the various where the hell is it? Oh, I gotta have the various old,
bobbleheads.
old bobblehead, old school bullet stuff. We gotta have it all. Boy, Josh Harris' team having a bad day here, down 17 in the first quarter. All right, you guys rock, Matt. I appreciate it, my guy. We'll talk soon. See you
All
guys.
right, appreciate it.